Hey, welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into a professional development framework that calls itself Divine Technology. It's being sold as an inner operating system for modern employees, and we're going to get right into the source material to figure out what that actually means.
Right off the bat, the material we're looking at doesn't just ease into things, does it? It kicks off with this incredibly bold statement. We're not talking about a small tweak here. It's promising to completely reshape your life. That's a line designed to make you sit up and pay attention.
So, before you get to the how, you got to understand the why, right? The framework starts by laying out the core problem it's trying to solve. And it all centers on what it calls the silent suffering of the modern employee. This idea that there's a huge internal struggle happening just below the surface for so many people at work.
And this is the question it really hones in on. The whole argument is that, you can get the promotion, you can climb the ladder, but that external success often doesn't touch the real challenges going on inside that make people feel so stuck.
Okay, so what does this silent suffering actually look like? Well, the framework gets super specific here. It's things like feeling totally confused about your career, being stressed out, not having the discipline to stick with things, and even being afraid to speak up. The point is, these aren't just little career hurdles, they're deep personal blocks.
All right, so we've got the problem. What's the solution? This is where the source material introduces its big idea, the concept of installing an inner operating system to fix all those issues we just talked about.
And here's the official definition they give. The words here are really, really deliberate. They use words like install, not learn, but install. They're talking about putting clarity, stability, and discipline into your life permanently. It's framed as a fundamental upgrade, changing how you operate from the inside out.
And they really want to hammer this point home. This isn't just another online course or some rah-rah motivational program. They're making it very clear that this is supposed to be a deep structural change. It's less like installing a new app on your phone and more like upgrading the entire operating system. So, if it's an operating system, how in the world do you install it? Well, the whole system is broken down into 5 core parts that they call the transformation pillars, and each one is built to tackle a specific part of that silent suffering. Let's start with Pillar 1, which they call Vision Dharma. This one is all about tackling that awful feeling of being lost or confused. You know the one. You're working your tail off every single day, but you feel like you're just on a treadmill, not really getting anywhere. The whole point of this first pillar is to achieve total, absolute clarity. We're talking about a clear purpose, clear goals, a clear identity, the whole 9 yards. The idea is to build a roadmap that gets rid of that stuck feeling and replaces it with some real, focused momentum. Okay, so once you know where you're going, the next step is having the right tools for the journey. That brings us to Pillar 2, Think Tank Work Smarts. This is all about your actual capabilities in a world that's constantly changing with AI and new digital tools. This is all about future-proofing your skills. It's not just about learning one new app, it's about upgrading what the document calls your brain power, so you can solve problems smarter and really stay ahead of the curve. Now, Pillar 3, Execution Leadership Method, is a big one. The argument here is that the real game changer in the professional world isn't how smart you are or what you know. It's about one thing: discipline. Can you actually do the work day in and day out? Yeah, this is the nitty-gritty. It's about taking action every single day, following through, finishing what you start, basically becoming someone people can actually count on, especially when the pressure's on. And according to this, that's one of the most valuable things you can be. All right, Pillar 4, the Command Control Center. This one is framed as the pillar everybody needs. And why? Because it tackles what the document calls the biggest problem we face today. And it's not our workload, it's the constant mental noise inside our own heads. So the goal here is to get a handle on your inner world, to stop the overthinking, manage the pressure, and get to a place where you respond thoughtfully instead of just reacting emotionally. The end goal? To become, and I'm quoting the document here, emotionally unshakable. And that brings us to the last pillar, Pillar 5, Be the Brand. This one's based on a really straightforward idea. Being good at your job just isn't enough. If nobody knows you're good at your job, you're not going to get ahead. It's about visibility and influence. So this is all about making sure you're seen, that you're trusted, you're respected, and ultimately, you're the one chosen for the big opportunities. It's about building that leadership presence even if you don't have the official title yet. Okay, so you go through all 5 pillars. You do the work. What's the payoff? What is the big transformation that's promised at the end of all this? Well, this chart really lays it all out nice and simple. You go from feeling confused to clear, from stressed to stable, from inconsistent to disciplined. You see the pattern here? It's a direct from-to switch for every single pain point we started with.
So after all that, after explaining the problem, the 5-pillar solution, and the big promise transformation, the document lays out a very clear next step, if you're interested in all this.
And that step is what they call a clarity call. The idea here isn't just to sell you something. It's supposed to be a one-on-one session where they figure out where you're at, identify your biggest hurdles, and then tell you which of the 5 pillars you should focus on first to get a personalized plan.
And there you have it. That's our breakdown of the Divine Technology Framework. It really pushes this idea that your internal world, your inner operating system, is the real key to unlocking success on the outside. And that leaves us with a really interesting question to think about, doesn't it? In this crazy, fast-paced professional world, is the ultimate secret to success less about what you can do and more about how you operate?